Greetings, and welcome once more to Torment Tides of Numenera. I am Jim, and we're going to continue this game and see where we are. We're very close to the end, I believe, probably. I think. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Once more, just as a reminder, let me actually go ahead and mention this. This game, just for content warnings, this game does have biological and body horror, identity crisis, slavery, death, assault, drug use. A lot of things in it. I just add on to the list as I encounter stuff. But in any case, let us go ahead and get over there, and we'll see what we're doing today. Edge in each stat pool acts like a discount. When using points from that pool, it grants free levels of effort or reduces the cost to activate abilities. Ah, that's right. We're about to enter a very dangerous cave. So we're in the Ascension at this point. This is a spot that we wandered into from the Bloom, which is a large place built of flesh. Large organism that has portals to other places, and one of those other places is the Ascension, possibly on a different planet, we're not sure. Perhaps in a different dimension, we don't know. Hard to make those distinctions these days. It is like 4 billion years in the future, and we have, different ways of looking at things at that point. I think we activated that and we went up there and we looked in there. Yeah, okay. Alright, good. So now we might possibly be about to fight something, I don't know. That's why I pulled Eratus back. Because we may need to punch things.
This is time better spent pantsless and drinking.
Okay, fine. We'll go ahead.
Yes.
I don't think this reminds me of anything. No, I don't either. Okay, there is a creature in here somewhere of some kind. That is what they said. The crystalline cavern. Or crystalline, depending on which side of the room you're standing. There's like more down... Hey, there's stuff down here! I can see it through the wall. This machine is similar to the one next to it, but doesn't have any sort of interface or control panel. Here, let me reference this by talking to you about a thing that's nearby this other thing that you can't examine. Okay, sure. Well, we can't get there yet anyway.
Ready.
Alright, let's see what we've got. More potential loot.
Fine.
More hyper-elucidated force. You can never get enough of that. Shins. Mini shin. Will you stop saying that? Anyway. Tina, please stop talking about killing people.
Let's go.
We'll do plenty of that later.
Why?
Possibly. I don't know, why not? Just waiting to run into a monster of some kind. Should I do something that would help me to deal with... Oh, I'm still bloom juiced. Should I use something or put something on or be ready for something? Because apparently we're about to maybe fight something. I mean, maybe we can talk to it, I don't know. I haven't used any of these things. Don't know what's happening. Patience everlasting. Alright. I'm just trying to figure out what's available. You're carrying the fibrous bar artifact. Which... Oh, that's right. It was between that, and I was trying to figure out which to let him have. Alright. Yeah, we'll just do this.
Let's go.
We'll just keep stumbling along like we usually do. Oh, look, a box. I wonder what's in it. A Thinker's Cap. Hey. +1 intellect edge, -2 intellect pool. I might actually be able to afford to wear that now. +1 damage on effort applied. Max +6 on esoteric attacks. I'll have that. Well, let me think about wearing it. I've got 24 intellect. I'm at a point that I'm having trouble spending the amount of intellect that I have. Of course, the Carrigan Sphere is probably still useful, though. That's the only thing. +50 movement speed, +2 speed pool, -2 might pool is the only thing. Akina already has these bonded items. I don't know, as Makina, what, I mean, she kind of has some esoteric attacks, I think. I can't remember. I'm just sort of now, welcome to stat time. What does Infuse Weapon use? That uses speed. Warp Dash uses speed. And if it's considered an esoteric attack. That uses speed. This is an esoteric attack, the Emerotic Field. And the Warp Dash is esoteric attack. Okay, yeah, so that actually does help. I was curious. Max +6 on esoteric attack. I mean, the trouble is that's intellect effort, isn't it, though? Where the extra damage comes from. This is not useful to her. So tell you what, let's do a thing. She doesn't have a lot of might, though. So I don't think I want to give her something that's going to reduce the amount of might that she has. Yeah, no, that's if she only has 1 might, that's going to be, yeah, that's very low. Moving faster is not a bad idea, but at the same time, -1 intellect edge, though. Alright, I'm just going to leave this as is. Stop messing with everybody. Tiber doesn't have anything. Tiber's a jack. Does Tiber predominantly use speed? We don't know. I think he does. Yeah. Speed and might. Defended by willpower. Issue challenge, which is an intellect thing. Skill with defense. Yeah, so it's a mishmash. Elocutioner. Just trying to distribute my resources here. I mean, we sometimes use Tiber's intellect pool, though, for convincing people of things, so we don't necessarily want to do that to him. I also am not keen on reducing his might pool. On the other hand, though... Yeah, this is probably still bad, yeah. I just keep looking at this whole thing and I'm like, well... But we're really pretty good where we are with a lot of this. Does he have stuff that uses the might pool? That, I think, is the one question I'm kind of making sure that I'm dealing with here. The hook. If he wants to bring people closer to him. Alright, yeah, we're just not gonna mess with any of it. Alright, let's keep going. machines down here.
I'm going.
Before we cross this threshold, I'm going to save the game. Because I'm quite sure we're going to run into something in a moment. A Phobit appears to be trapped in the central crystal. It flickers excitedly. An impenetrable field of energy seals off part of the cave. Okay. Well, we'll deal with that shortly. What have we got? Oh, dear. Yep, I worry anytime I see one of these. I think there's someone there. Let's see. Touch things. This machine is similar to the one next to it, but yeah, that's the same one. And then we can interact with that one. We can interact with that. Alright, I guess we shall commune with the Phobit. Perhaps. No, we can't commune with the Phobit. Never mind. This device seems to be the source of the low hum that permeates the cavern. It's receiving power through thick cables from two large machines up against the wall. And these are the power sources for these machinities.
I'm going.
All of the cables in the room connect to this bulky machine and its twin. They generate a low rumble that you can feel in your feet. As you approach, a screen lights up. A strange maze-like rune flashes angrily in the center of the screen. 3 other glyphs revolve slowly around it in an elliptical orbit, a bolt of lightning, a set of parallel lines, and a circle. Maze-like rune, and then around it is a bolt of lightning, parallel lines, which I don't know whether probably sideways, I guess, and a circle. Destroy the machine! We could touch any of these things. Let's step away for a moment before we start poking those things. And see if there's someone here. The stasis pod is dull and lifeless. There is no visible way to activate it. Okay. So it's an empty stasis pod. Not nervous about that at all. A little bit curious about this force field. Can't get it. The loot. Oh, so much loot. Things to interact with. Okay. So what you're telling me is that we touched the wrong thing and an energy being is going to attack us. That's what I'm assuming. That's what I'm reading here. Bringing us up to date. That's my guess. That is the belief. It's true we haven't done anything, but just to save me a little time. And save over this. We will overwrite. And back to it. Okay. Alright, we are going to touch things. So we have a maze-like rune. We have a bolt of lightning. We have parallel lines. We have a circular glyph. Should I actually try to figure out what this means? I'm going to touch the glyph of parallel lines because that might give us access to the thing. An image appears of the pod in the far corner of the room. Okay, no it won't. The image of the pod is dim. A circular symbol sits next to its image. Press the dim circular symbol. Do we want to meet someone that soon? Return the interface to the initial screen. Yes. Okay. What's the bolt of lightning? The runing glyphs disappear, replaced with an image depicting the bank of 3 large crystals to your right. Symbols flow into the image, showing that the device is currently receiving power from the machine before you. A circular symbol glows next to the image. Each time one of the symbols enters the image of the crystals, the circular symbol pulses brightly. Pressing it would likely cut the flow of power to the bank of crystals. Huh. Would that kill the phobit, or would that let it out? I don't know. Each time one of the symbols enters the image, it pulses. Yeah. Alright. Symbols flow, and it doesn't talk about the symbols. Okay. Let's go back. Just curious what everything is. What's the circle? An image depicting the humming device in the center of the room, the one with 2 crystals. Symbols flow into the image, showing that the device is currently receiving power from the machine before you. A circular symbol pulses each time a symbol flows into the image. Pressing it would likely cut the flow of power to the crystals, causing the humming to cease. Alright. The circular symbol is outlined in red, suggesting the function of this device is particularly important. Alright. What about the flashing rune? A picture appears. It looks like a technical schematic of the device behind you at the center of the room, the source of the low hum. Vertical lines of runes appear next to the schematic, but you can't read them. We shall use our mystical and anamnesis abilities to try to decipher them. We are already at full. XP! Although you can't read the runes, the gist of the message becomes clear. It's a warning about the device with 2 crystals at the center of the chamber. The device has deteriorated to an unstable state, and any fluctuation in power is likely to result in an interruption in function. The runes do not say what will happen if the device ceases to function, or if they do, you cannot decipher it. Okay, so that's a warning not to turn that off. At least not before you do everything else. Okay. Destroy the machine! No. So that is good to know. We can no longer touch that. Oh, no, well, there it is. Okay. I can't see it anymore. So, let's see. I think we want to try to talk to the... we want to interact with this first. We want to deal with the phobit. So we're going to try that part first and hope that what we do doesn't harm the phobit. We're going to touch the pulsing circular symbol. We got XP out of that. Oh no! Phobit gone. The circular symbol dims and the symbols freeze in place, no longer marching into the image of the 3 crystals. To your right, the lights on the bank of the crystals fade. The phobit blinks and chirps within one of the large crystals. Finally freed from its imprisonment. There we go. It zips around in the crystal, makes cheerful noises in your direction, then vanishes in a flash of light. Okay. Cool. That means we might be able to do a thing later. Let me see if anything has changed in the room as a result of that. Yes? No? Maybe? Any glistening phobits anywhere? Now? Ready to help us? Yes? No? No. Okay. Alright. So we have freed the phobit. And now we shall trap it again. No. Yeah, I guess we're gonna talk to whatever might be in there. In that pod. Both the symbol and the pod light up on the screen. The circular symbol pulses in time with odd symbols that march into the image of the pod itself. In the far corner of the room, new noises indicate the pod is now receiving power. And that's actually probably good. I guess that since we turned one thing off before turning another thing on, then that, maybe will help reduce the amount of power fluctuations. Oh, here we go. I'm concerned. I want to get through here, but I guess we got to deal with whatever's in there first. Alright. Just in case. This is, just in case there's something in there that leaps out and attacks us. Just a thought. It looked empty, but what if it isn't? Who knows? We're in a post-phobit existence. Who indeed knows? Alright, here we go.
Alright.
Is it alright? Rings of energy pulse around the stasis pod. There appears to be nothing inside it, but a control interface hovers a few centimeters off the surface at one end of the pod. Rings of energy pulse around the nothing inside it, but a control interface hovers a few centimeters. Okay. Surprisingly, the words on the interface are written in truth, and you can understand them. There are several options, but most of them, he says, now finally looking at the screen in the right place, but most of them are dimmed out. The only two functioning options are check status and access data. Let's check status. A picture of the pod appears. The lid on the image is closed and flashing red. Several other places on the image of the pod flash red as well. The text says, stasis pod empty, error, self-diagnostic failed, cannot open stasis pod, primary functions offline, data integrity 67%. Okay, well 67% is better than none. Let's access it. A list of records appear. Several of them are crossed out with the word corrupted next to the name. Much of the functioning records are mundane, like system integrity results or lists of lab equipment, but there are a number of functioning dated records labeled experiment notes. Well, let's read about... Oh, God! I feel as though there's reading in my immediate future. Now, playing this game, that's what we sign up for. Alright. The first note. An unfamiliar voice reverberates throughout the room. Let's try that again. Oh God, here we go. Preliminary. Can I say the word preliminary? Is that possible? Is that possible? No, I can't say preliminary, I'm sorry. Preliminary investigations suggest that Matsov was correct. The crystals of the Ascension bear the properties we require to complete the resonance chamber. The amulet provided invaluable in reaching this place, and may have other uses besides, so it will be some time before I can return it to Dracogen. Much more experimentation is required before I can know for certain whether the Ascension holds what I seek. Interesting. So he was working on the resonance chamber. Was this the changing god that was here? Perhaps. Second note. The secretions of the crystal vor are one of the few substances I've found that can eat through the living crystal of the Ascension. I have several larvae brought here for that purpose. Dracogen exudes patience with regards to the amulet, but I've dealt with other Dracogens before. He will only remain patient for so long before he decides I have cheated him. No matter. I fear the sorrow more than I fear them. Okay, so regionally one of you I found can eat through the living crystal. I have had several larvae brought for that purpose. Oh boy. Okay. Maybe the last thing we want is for the resonance chamber to be completed. I have several experiments running simultaneously while I wait for the crystal to grow. True to their name, the crystalvores have proven quite adaptable to this environment, and invaluable to this part of the process. The Ascension natives may prove useful as well. I had ignored them initially, for although their speaker is capable of cogent communication, it has proven useless in providing any real information. However, I have since seen other natives accomplishing some remarkable feats with the crystal itself. so I captured one for study. We shall see if there's more I can learn from it. Uh-huh. Okay. I wonder, since we freed that, if we can now go in... Was that the bit that was missing? I can't remember. It was a week ago. But the speaker kept talking about a part of another phobit that was missing, I think. That was, like, in charge of some stuff. I don't know. Press the 4th. Access the 4th. Several of the crystal vor larvae hatched prematurely and escaped. It is unclear how it happened. But I suspect that someone came looking for the amulet while I was buying supplies in Sagus. No doubt they tampered with my machines in their efforts to find it. The voice sighs. To prevent further sabotage, I have placed the amulet and the remaining larvae behind an energy field. The power generator can open the field, but it now requires a passcode sequence to ensure there is no further tampering.
I think I'm ready to try something.
Oh, okay. We're leveling Tiber up, I think. I am not foolish enough to record that sequence here, but should something happen to me, such that I forget, the 3 geodesics throughout the Barry Center are the key. The voice says nothing more. If that was supposed to be a hint, its meaning is unclear. Perhaps it would make more sense when looking at the power generator itself. The 3 geodesics through the Barry Center. Wow. Or Barry Center, depending on what we think. So geodesic, I've heard that term referred to in terms of domes. I guess it's is it dictionary time? It may be dictionary time once again. We'll see if we'll see what we've got. We'll see if we've got anything. Geodesic meaning. In geometry, geodesic is commonly a curve representing in some sense the shortest path between 2 points in the surface, or more generally a Riemannian manifold. Riemannian. It's a type of curve, and most notably it's usually applied to domes or spheres. Okay, I see. I see. So 3 things that have these curves to them. Barry Center. Barry Center. In astronomy, the Barry Center is the center of mass of 2 or more bodies that orbit one another and is the point about which the bodies orbit. Okay, sort of like, okay, gotcha. I understand now. At least enough to have some idea of what it is I'm looking for here. Three geodesics through the 2 things orbiting each other. All right. Access the 5th experiment note. The escaped crystal vores are growing and breeding. They now constitute a serious threat to my work. He pauses. I've built a device to emit sound waves at a very specific frequency, lulling the creatures into dormancy. So far, it appears to be an effective countermeasure, but I shall have to keep careful watch to be sure. I must also make sure that the power generator does not experience any interruptions lest they wake again. Maybe they want their eggs? The rest of their eggs? I don't know. Well, I mean, you were growing them sort of in a lab. It's hard to know. 6th experiment note. The voice speaks between ragged breaths. This will be my last entry. Dracogen's patience is worn thin, as I knew it would. His agents are outside, and will no doubt break through my defenses momentarily. If they do, I will have to abandon this body. I don't know when I'll be able to return, but The voice cuts off. There is no more of this entry. And then there's a 7th note. The voice on this entry is the same as the other entries, but it has none of the confidence from before. I don't know what's happening. I woke in this cave, surrounded by angry men demanding something called an amulet. I don't know what it is, but they attacked me. I didn't know what to do, so I fought back. I killed them. The blood, it's everywhere. Some of it's mine, but most of it... I found these notes afterward, when I was trying to figure out what was happening to me. I couldn't figure out how to retrieve the amulet, but those men were sent by someone called Dracogen. I don't know what any of this means. I'm going to find out, but I'm leaving this message in case I don't make it back. I don't know who will listen, but... Well, I figured I should leave something of me in here. Somewhere. In case I don't get very far. Which Castoff was this? I guess I could guess that maybe our Castoff was the one that the Changing God was in the process of making to try to make this happen. Well, no, yeah, he was already around in that body, I think. I don't know. Okay. I'm curious. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah. All right. Well then. Yep. Let's head back over here and save again. So we can see kind of if anything has changed. 3 geodesics through the barycenter. Geodesics. Yeah, we're good. We shall overwrite it. 3 geodesics.
Yes.
Through the barycenter. The machine continues to rumble softly as you approach. The screen lights up again. A maze-like rune flashes angrily in the center of the screen with 3 glyphs revolving slowly around it. Try to figure out the key to unlocking the force field based on the clue from the experiment notes. Yes. 75's not bad. 95's much better. Success! The 3 geodesics through the barycenter are the key. Watching the glyphs revolve around the central rune, the meaning suddenly becomes clear. The symbols increase and decrease in size as they move around the rune, traveling more quickly when they come close to it and slower when they're farther away. They aren't revolving, they're orbiting, and the rune is the barycenter. That's the point around which the things are revolving. Okay. The definition of geodesic rises from the depths of your mind as well. It's going to be the circle, isn't it? It means a great circle track, the shortest line between 2 points on a sphere. On a hunch, you draw a line from each of the 3 symbols to the others. Oh, okay. Well, I guess it could be that then. Curving the line through the rune in the center. The symbols stop orbiting. Lines appear where your finger drags across the interface. Soon you have the 3 curved lines connecting each of the symbols. 3 geodesics through the same barycenter. I will point out, on a hunch, it says, I am wondering how much of this might just be the Changing God sitting deep in this Castoff's psyche, manipulating things. Because that's right, we did determine that his majordomo, his servant, the ethereal being inside him was in fact the Changing God. It was hiding away. Well, we fought them off for now, but is it the Changing God really suggesting these things to us? Trying to get us to fix the resonance chamber? Because this is where you'd go to do it.
I think I'm ready to try something new.
The interface disappears, replaced by an image of some kind of field projector. Triumphant, you cut the power to the projector. Across the cavern, the force field deactivates. we go. Before we poke around in there, once again, we have a couple things we gotta do. Cause we gotta level up Tiber. Any of us also? I'm almost ready to level up. Last Castoff is almost ready. Matkina's close. Tiber is ready. Eratus, could get there. Well, I guess it's ability or skill. Let's see what there is in the skill area. We could up the quick fingers, we could up the initiative, endurance, perception, running, and stealth. Yeah, I mean, I kind of probably would do quick fingers, if anything. Let's check abilities. I've been using Fade a fair bit. So I feel like... yeah. It would be helpful. Sucker Punch. Issue Challenge. We'll use Faint again. Increase that. Ability is unlocked. Because we've reached Tier 3. Yay! Lucky Combatant. Gain plus 15% on attack. Cipher limit increase. Yay! Tall Tale Teller. All other party members gain plus 5 on lore machinery and plus 5% on lore mystical and on natural. Excellent. Survivor can gain 15 plus 15% evasion. Excellent. Choose abilities to learn. Oh boy. So we can learn one of these. Resourceful. More ciphers. Versatile effort. When flex skill is active, gain a plus 5% bonus for each level of effort applied to tasks it affects. That could be pretty cool, if I remember to use it. Brawler. Ignore the flank fiddle when surrounded by enemies. That too might be helpful. Because he does need an edge of some kind. I'm thinking... I am leaning slightly toward versatile effort. So we're going to take that. Select a skill to increase. Well, I guess we're going to go for quick fingers. I think. Or still... actually, yeah, let's up his... I'm going to go for quick fingers. There we go. Okay. I mean, the problem is I think she also has the quick fingers thing. Yeah, she does. He is now better at it. Alright. There's only so much you can get at once. Okay, now I'm going to save so that I don't have to do that all over again. In case something leaps out at us when we go into that chamber. It's important. We will drift over to the new save game button. Or I mean, we just keep... yeah, I mean, we've been successfully doing stuff, so we're just going to save over. The post-phobid existence. Okay. Here we go. Stuff. So there's a thing. There's loot. So I guess we'll go for the loot first. Because of course we will. Hero's Fury. It's a cipher. Deals 36 energy damage and confers dazed. Alright. And money. Let's distribute that cipher. Gotta be careful how many I'm carrying. Who do we want to give that to? I mean, you're not carrying any right now. I guess you can have that one. If you're going to be sticking around a while. And we got you up to this tier now, so you're up to tier 3, so here we are. Alright, let's find out what this is. Nestled among the crystal formations is a steel pod. Cables pass in and out of the pod, glowing with energy. As soon as you're within arm's reach, a shining interface materializes in the air between you and the pod. There are a few strange symbols arranged in a circle around a filigreed pentagon, similar to the tattoo on your head. Touch the symbols. Place your hand on the pentagon. Touch your own tattoo to the center symbol. Yeah, I think this would be the thing to do, right? As you draw closer, the filigreed pentagon glows more brightly. Your head becomes warm, but not uncomfortably so. When it touches the light, you feel a small amount of energy flow out from you. The cables on the pod pulse quickly, and the top of the chamber opens with a hiss. The only item inside is a hyaline circlet. A hyaline circlet, as black as the sky behind the stars, the magmatic amulet. Ah! You remove it from the pod and take it with you. Quest item. The crystalline circlet is as black as the sky behind the stars. It twists and curls in eye-bending patterns, emanating power as if absorbing and snaring the realities of the world. That doesn't sound at all dangerous.
I'll remember that.
The chamber hisses shut and the interface vanishes. Okay. So then, the thing being, we if we shut everything down, then that might be. Well, would that collapse everything? I don't know. I am tempted to shut everything down. Let me go ahead and look at Dracogen's price here. Now that I have the amulet, I can bring it to Dracogen and complete my side of the bargain. Yes, yes you can. So it is a thing I am tempted to do. I am tempted to shut this down and just cause everything to collapse, but I don't know if there's really a reason to do that. So it would just be more toying around chaotically. I do want to go back and talk to the speaker again, just in case there's new stuff going on. But I've done pretty much everything I feel like I need to do here at this point. And if it turns out I have a reason to turn it off, then I'll do that. I mean,
Yes.
ideally, you don't want the resonance chamber to be finished, so we could turn it off for that reason. Just as a bit of a setback. Let's see. You can use certain items and abilities even during conversations or when interacting with objects. Keep this in mind when you need a little extra boost to succeed at a task. There's a lot of running around that needs to happen right now. We're going to head back up here. Hey. Doran bars your path with a slight, confident smile. Greetings again, Castoff. Whatever you did in that cave has caught the Changing God's attention. He knows you're here now, and he has asked me to destroy your mind. His smile broadens. Do not resist. Ah, great! Suddenly his pupils slide out of view, not up but sideways, as abruptly as if they'd been slapped. Yes, he says in the same casual tone. Of course, it won't be long now. His pupils return from the opposite side. Oh, great. Don't waste your time speaking to him. Take his mind. What just happened to your eyes? You said you weren't really a prophet. He shrugs. I lied. Your crystalline friend was right. One of us does have two thought patterns. Your father speaks to me in his mind. He turns his head slightly to the side, pointing at a tiny device at the base of his skull, too small to have noticed before. Ha 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 ha. He has told me that he has need of your body, and I have learned over the years to trust what he says. A hint of sorrow touches his eyes. It's time to return your father's property, Castoff. Changing God is trapped in my mind, though. How can he be speaking to you? He looks confused for a moment. In your mind? I don't... Did you think I would let myself be rendered helpless? I am never without power. Ah, well, there it is. He raises a hand to his head. Ah, he says, it seems he is in your mind, but maybe you've forgotten who we're talking about. The Changing God has been alive for centuries, maybe more. He would never let himself be trapped or rendered helpless. He is never powerless. I am proof of that. Doran is but one of my tools. You are never beyond my reach, Castoff. When did the Changing God speak to you? Start speaking to you? Years ago, Doran says simply. He taps the base of his skull, ever since his device attached itself to me while I was exploring one of his abandoned laboratories. He has asked me to tell you that the erasure of your mind will not hurt. He will simply nudge your mind into oblivion and take its place. Doran bows his head. He will be among us at last, thanks to you. It won't hurt, Castoff. It's only nudging your mind into oblivion so that I may have my body. The Changing God is using you, that's what he does. What is that device, anyway? How would this erasure proceed? What is that device? One of his mouthpieces, he says, brow furrowing. Apparently he had assumed this was common knowledge among cast-offs. Smiling, he shakes his head in self-deprecating amusement. I picked this relic up, examined it, and discarded it. But then it shot up from the ground and chose me, claimed me. Your father has spoken to me ever since. How would this erasure proceed? Simply, he says, drawing himself further up, just bow your head, and your father's mouthpiece will leave me temporarily to bond with you. You will close your eyes, and it will be done. It must be exhausting, he says, compassion. I should have... I wanted to tell him the Changing God was using him. He says, compassion in every line of his face. It must be impossible knowing that your every breath is borrowed, that your discoveries do not ultimately belong to you, and that your only marks on the world will be the ones he does not wipe away. He clasps his hands. Thankfully, we are here to take that burden from you. It is time to sleep, Castoff. It is time to surrender. I am tempted by your offer. My life has not been an easy one. I'm scared to say that because I want that to be a trick. But it doesn't say he's lying. Intimidation is there. We'll see what it does. I understand, he says, nodding slowly, his brow canted in sorrow, and that is why we're here, to take your pain from you. Please, Makina says, rolling her eyes. Compared to me, you've been alive for seconds, and you're tired? Quiet, Doran says, raising a hand to forestall the angry murmurs of the other cultists. Be grateful, he tells her. Be grateful that your father hasn't sent us for you today. If he had, Makina says with brittle calm, your bodies would already be cooling. I'll give you one chance to run. Just one. Be smart. Oh. Well, see how much juice it would take to get. That would be that. We can get up to 75. Makina can get up to 30. Tiber, can get up to 65. Eratus can get up to 50, but he has more juice, but unfortunately it wouldn't work out. Alright, well, here we go. 75's not terrible. Let's see. I have a feeling they're gonna skew this, but we'll see. Nope. Nope. See, there it is. Failure. His complacency drains in the face of your threat, but his mouth hardens. Attack! He spits, gesturing his followers toward you. Restored 2 might pool. Okay. So here's the thing. I kind of am wishing that I had said the Changing God is using you.
What's happening to me?
So I'm going to do a thing. My apologies to folks who are impatient. I'm going to do a thing. Because I really kind of want to see what happens if you take a different route in that conversation. Also, we're going to salt the earth here, I think. Maybe a few seconds later, I guess. Just because I want to see. Changing God rarely remains in a body for more than a decade or two before moving on. One thing. One more thing.
Of course.
Just one more thing. Yeah, we have it. Circular symbol dims and the pulsing rhythm of symbols marching into the image cease. The low hum that permeates the cave fades, then grows completely silent. Nothing happens for a moment or two. Suddenly, a series of strange popping sounds emanate from the device in the center of the chamber. On the screen, the image of the device begins to flash, and the red parallel lines cut through the part where the power once flowed into it. Arcs of energy jump over the surface of the device for a few moments, then cease. The cavern becomes eerily quiet. Oh, that's the things attack you option. Okay. Crystal Boars. Much though I'd love to engage here, we actually have another fight immediately coming up, so that seems amusing, and I like seeing the little crystals running around. But let's not do that then. I'd rather still have all of my points available for this other fight that's probably about to happen. I'm going to click through the conversation tree until we get to the right place, so you don't have to worry about having to sit through me reading through it all over again. But I've got to see. I have to know. I have to know. All right. Let's go say hi to Doran. Wait. Is there something else we were supposed to do with this? I'm trying to remember. Alright, that's it. That's fine.
Yes. Now.
Yeah, let's cut that off. Okay, don't resist. Take his mind. What just happened to your eyes? What? He says, oh, of course, apologies, I didn't mean to alarm you. He seems to mean this. Your crystalline friend was right. One of us have two thoughts. Yeah. We got some blue tide there, that's good. Changing gods in my mind, what are you talking about? Yeah, in your mind, blah, blah, blah. When did the changing god start speaking to you? Years ago. What is that device? We'll still have that third option available, or we should. Okay. Here we go. The changing god is using you. That's what he does. Of course he is, Doran says, sighing. And we choose to let him. You and your kind do not have the same freedom. That body does not belong to you. Must be exhausting. Okay, alright. Well, we'll try intimidation one more time. We won't succeed, but we'll try it. Because I think it's rigged. Wait, maybe it's not rigged. Well, maybe not. Okay, alright, okay. Okay, I had lost faith, I admit. I was concerned that they were putting their thumbs on the scale, but in fact they were not. Okay. Doran's complacency drains in the face of your threat. His eyes pop open wide. His hands fly instinctively to his ears as though someone were shouting at him. I'm sorry, this was a mistake. I'm not strong enough. I don't want to... Fool, you are less than worthless. I will find another way to retrieve my body.
I'm ready to become even more heroic.
Oh, wow. There's a high-pitched keening. Doran clutches the device at the back of his skull as though it were hurting him. He groans, swaying. With a soggy crump, his head bursts. With a single horrified glance at their fallen prophet, his followers flee. Splurp. Wow, okay. Well, not as much of a problem. I really feel as though we shouldn't loot that. I really feel as though that might be a terrible idea. I'm just amazed that that worked. Amazed. No, Doran. We're now in a Doran-less existence. Let's find out what that is. Oh, he's got stuff. Okay, so... Slug Spitter. Gauntlet of Murder! That's a great name for a thing. It's an oddity. This deep black metal gauntlet twinkles like the stars in the night sky. If you listen closely, a hum can be heard emanating from the glove. Sure, let's take the murder gauntlet. Looks like a shamrock, a darkened shamrock. Ossified trifolium. This three-leafed plant is black as pitch and hard as stone when held. When pressed against an article of clothing, the stem extends and insinuates itself into the fabric. When the leaves are brushed, the wearer sees a vision of a young auburn-haired girl embracing a dark-haired boy before turning away, followed by a wave of visible, intense longing for the boy before fading. It's a shanty pin. Okay, that's good to know. Wow. Okay. That was something.
Of course.
I'm not entirely sure what. I'm very curious about this gauntlet. Also, we need to level everyone up. But this gauntlet. We could use the item. The deep black metal gauntlet twinkles like the stars in the night sky. When you touch the metal, images flash through your mind too quickly for you to make sense of them. Examine the gauntlet. The material it's made from is not iron or steel, but something more fantastic than the metals of the Ninth World. It's an exo gauntlet. Otherwise, it appears to be a normal gauntlet. You notice a crust of dried blood around the inside. You recall a story linked to a gauntlet that was involved in a string of mysterious murders. Each victim was seen sporting a single black gauntlet for a while, and then later found dead, strangled, and missing a hand. A group called the God Club, or something along those lines, was mixed up with it. Didn't we hear about a series of murders near the beginning? This whole thing? Yeah, but we figured out who that was. We did, actually. That was, yeah. We knew who that was. It was one of the members of the cult. Anyone who wears the gauntlet is overwhelmed with... which cult? There are so many. I know. The one that eats people. Anyone who wears the gauntlet is overwhelmed with sudden excruciating pain as the gauntlet actually consumes the hand and takes its place. Some victims find they cannot remove the gauntlet. Others can, but when they take it off, there is nothing but a stump underneath. Replacing the gauntlet over the stump causes it to reattach and function fully as the old hand. Put the gauntlet on your hand! Yes, absolutely. That's what this is for, right? No, I'm sorry, this is not D&D. I'm not going to do that. I will pay attention to the images. You place your hand on the gauntlet again, focusing your mind on the images it gives you. They're quick, just vague impressions from the gauntlet's previous wearers. You see a shadow in the dark, the gauntlet holding a barbed knife in one hand, then pouncing on his victim. A woman puts the gauntlet on her hand and screams. A Vargellan fights against a mob of 7, the gauntlet wielding a wicked mace, just before he dies. Alright, we're going to leave that alone. Perhaps we'll sell it, although that might be irresponsible of us. I'm going to head back up here. Oh, everyone is conveniently left. Guess they decided to stop waiting. Huh. Well, a couple things. A couple things I want to find out about.
Ready?
Or not.
Why, of course.
All right.
Weird.
Yes.
I just want to see if things have changed over here since we released that other phobit.
Fine.
Nope, just tell me about everything again. Okay, nope, nothing. Anything else over here? Please tell me what you want. What product? Product. Grading in your mind. We never figured this out. What product did the megalith want? I don't think we can... You see, the problem is this doesn't have the sort of interface where we can just go into our inventory and put a thing over here. We actually have to figure out what it wants in order to get it to happen, and unfortunately, there's no information on that anywhere. So we're done. I mean, the only other option is to grab a piece of it, but that would hurt it, so we don't want to do that. Okay. Are you coming? All right. Off we go. If you have 100% chance to hit an enemy, you automatically gain the maximum amount of bonus damage that you could get, regardless of how many levels of effort you apply. Are we trapped here? Fantastic! Oh, great. That's not very good news. So the control unit is over here. Oh, I've got to level everybody up. Let me do that first before I save this again. Okay, Last Castoff. Tier 5. Oh no, we're still Tier 4. We've still got 2 more things to do on Tier 4. Alright, we can increase our stat pools, or we can get an ability or skill. Let's see what's on tap. So many things. Okay, let me see. Concentration. Anamnesis. Intimidation, we've been using it a little bit. Natural lore. Endurance. More health would not be bad. Persuasion. Running. Stealth. Unlocks conversation options. Yeah, okay, actually I'll add perception. Should have done that a while ago. I did not do abilities, but I should have looked at them, but I did not. I am a fool. But I have many abilities already, so let's not worry about that. Matkina. Leveling up. So we could increase edge. Let's increase edge. When in doubt, make these things possible. We'll increase speed edge for Matkina, since that's kind of where she primarily does stuff. And then Eratus. Who gets an ability or a skill, and this will be, and he's about to go to the next tier, I think. Let's see what we have. Skills are smashing, initiative, and running. Abilities are skills, abilities. Ah, yes, all of these abilities here that I could pick from. Okay, so skill. Bonus to movement. Heal better. Smash better. Oh, let's smash better. Skirmish Spectacle. You have reached Tier 3. Whenever Eratus lands a critical hit with a melee weapon, confer daze to all enemies in immediate range of him. Okay, great. Now we get to choose Fell Swoop, Successive Attack, or Brawler. This might be good for him because he gets in the thick of it a lot. Successive Attack. When you kill an enemy, immediately make a bonus attack against the nearest enemy in range without moving. Applies to both melee and ranged attack. That sounds nice. Fell Swoop. Attack an arc in front of you, dealing weapon damage to all enemies who fail to evade. Let's have that. That sounds cool. It does cost speed. These are all pretty cool, actually, for him. When you kill, you may, yeah, okay, you drop someone and you move it immediately to the next one. I have seen that before in different games. Let's do successive attack. I think actually that'll be cool. That'll be best. All right. Choose a skill to increase light weapons, heavy weapons, medium weapons, ranged weapons. He's primarily using this heavy weapon, so we're going to continue with that. There we go. Awesome. Okay, now we will save the game and then go play with the tentacles. As one does. Alyssa was right, this channel does have a lot of tentacles on it. There's a lesson there somewhere. Okay, let's go play with the tentacles. Oh, tongue. The bloom tongues make wet, unpleasant sounds as they rise and squirm against each other. Okay. As you approach, the voices of the bloom begin to click and buzz in your ears, making your fingers twitch and setting your teeth on edge. You catch yourself reaching instinctively for the magmatic amulet, as if it's something you've done many times before. Listen to the bloom's voices again. Touch the tongues. Water the bloom into their roots in the chamber. Yeah, that's all it tells us. All right, let's touch the amulet. You grasp the crystalline artifact. At once, the voices of the bloom grow louder and louder still. They fill your consciousness, drowning out your thoughts. Hissing and whispering and chittering and buzzing. They're coming from every direction, from above and below, from nearby and far away. Swaying on your feet, you nearly topple to the floor. Matkina grabs hold of your arm to prevent you from falling. What's wrong with you? Her eyes are wide and confused. You shake your head, unable to respond, caught up in the torrent of maddening sound. Slowly, the bloom voices resolve themselves into their constituent parts. I also can't say constituent. But now they carry sense impressions with them. Hunger, curiosity, desire. Each burst of bloom voices evokes a new impression in your mind. For a moment, you let go of the amulet, and the sense impressions are gone. The voices are nothing but meaningless babble. Then you touch the amulet again, and the sense impressions return. You realize that the magmatic amulet is a translator of sorts, though the limits and scope of its power are uncertain. Is this why the various Mimavras have had trouble hearing the bloom after a while? Because they didn't have this thing? I don't know. Okay, we'll listen to the nearest voices first. You hear the cluster of bloom tongues whispering softly to you, exuding a sense of expectation and familiarity. These tongues know your scent, or perhaps that of your sire, and they are eager to touch your mind. But their voices are not the only ones here. A score of other voices, that would be 20, other voices, either gibber or gibber, depending on which side of the room you're standing, and shout from the dark corners of the room ordinary human voices that once belonged to the merchants, guards, and bloom guides who were devoured here. Fragments of their minds cling to life in their half-digested corpses, and they cry out in confusion, rage, or pain. Let's listen to those. That sounds awesome. You focus on the bloom voices that are coming from outside the trade post. What seemed at first like an indistinct babble is actually many different voices. Thousands of voices, each arising from somewhere else in the bloom. Okay? Some of the voices belong to individual maws, evoking impressions of hunger and need. Others resonate from deeper places within the bloom. When you concentrate on those voices, you experience flashes of intense emotion or catch fleeting glimpses of men and women being beaten or killed. Great. The bloom really likes suffering. Every voice is unique, chittering, groaning, barking, whispering, rattling, hissing, yet all of them are the bloom. That's great. Every few moments, whispering tongue. I'm just trying to see if it's different. Whisper softly to you, tickling the edges of your consciousness like tiny wriggling fingers, trying to reach inside your mind. Should I repeat the content warnings, by the way? Please take note of the content warnings. Every few moments, the whispering tongues are drowned out by the voices of the men and women who are devoured in this chamber. They shriek in confusion and anguish, unaware that they are already dead. There's a lot of death in this. There's a assault, identity crisis, body horror, biological horror, drug use, slavery, things of that nature. So those are all things happening in this game. Distant voices of the echo. Concentrate on the voices that echo from the far festering corners of the bloom. Some belong to maws, chittering their particular desires, while others arise from deeper places. Is there more? Probably not. Okay. Let's communicate with the cluster of bloom tongues. Relaxing your mind, you allow the whispering of the bloom tongues to penetrate your thoughts. Memories rise into your consciousness, trivial moments you thought you had forgotten. Just as you recognize them, they are swept away. The bloom tongues are sifting through your memories, looking for something. Oh, that's not good. The voices dig deeper into your unconscious. What seemed harmless at first becomes irritating. A dull ache blossoms in the back of your head, spreading across your skull and down your spine. The pain comes in waves, as if the bloom is trying to wrench a memory out of your brain. So we could use a tidal surge to channel the pain back into the bloom tongues, or we could allow the bloom to feed on a memory. Or we could let go of the amulet. So if we use the tides, yeah, you know what? I think that actually is the way to go, because the bloom kind of respected us the last time we did that. Great. Yeah, let's see what we can do. You focus on the pain, letting it flow upon the tides and surge away from you, a molten rush of agony that leaves your nerves quivering in its wake. It spills across the bridge that the amulet has created between your mind and the tongues. From all around you, the bloom's voices shriek in hatred and fury. The tongues twist and writhe. The ground shakes. Red tide raised a moderate amount. Silver tide raised a moderate amount. And then the pain is gone. The clustered bloom tongues droop, their movements feeble, their voices no more than a whisper. In the aftermath of your unusual experience, you find that you have maintained your grip upon the magmatic amulet. Your concentration to the bloom tongues remains intact. While they're in a weakened state, you might be able to seize control. Let's do that! I have 75% now, and 95% there. 100 if I want to go that far. Let's do 95. Yes! Success! You reach across the barrier that separates your consciousness from that of the tongues, a barrier now made permeable by the amulet. Tentatively, you begin to direct the motions of the tongues. It's a strange sensation, like having another set of limbs, but they respond to your impulses. Belatedly, the tongues try to resist, but with a bit of concentration, you quiet them like errant thoughts. These tongues, you realize, are a tiny locus of the bloom's consciousness. Their roots extend throughout the trade post, and now so do your thoughts and commands. So we could release the human minds that are trapped in the trade post. We could steal the knowledge and memories of the trapped human minds. That would be awesome. We could restore the portal to the Kyurgen slump, which is really what we should be doing. We could move the trade post back to its original location, or we could let go of the magmatic amulet. Choices! Decisions are difficult. Decisions are difficult. If I let go... No, if I let go, I may no longer have the opportunity to do this. I need the portal. But I also want this knowledge. I'm doing it. Blue tide went up there. A few moments of concentration reveal that the snaking roots of the bloom tongues are still connected to the corpses. Hair-like fibers grow through the putrefying flesh, linking to their half-dead brains, keeping their minds alive. Blue tide went up. Silver tide went up. The tongues have been gradually drawing out the memories and experiences of the dying human minds and feeding upon them. You force them to extract everything that remains and funnel it into your own mind instead. As each brain is emptied, it's gibbering or gibbering, depending on which side of the room you're standing. Voice falls silent and it dies. Healed. Alright. The scattered sensory impressions and half-formed memories are knowledge of a sort, additional perspectives through which to understand the world. Your mind feels sharper and refreshed. You're restored to intellect pool. We permanently gained 1 intellect pool. Maximum intellect pool is now 25. Okay. Are we done being evil yet? As you finish emptying the dead mines, you sense a deep sub-aural rumble from the bloom. Your impression, filtered through the amulet, is one of affinity and approval of what you just did. Oh, great. That's just what we need. Should we move the trade post back to where it belongs? It's an interesting idea, because then that would resolve issues with those folks. If we just restore the portal to the Kyurgeon slump, then... Yeah, let's see if we can move the trade post back. You close your eyes and relax your mind, probing the limits of your new senses. The roots of the bloom tongues run through the trade post, but they also extend some distance into the surrounding flesh. A few of them trail upward, tracing a path toward an open cavity in the outer reaches of the bloom. Steeling yourself, you take hold of all the tendrils at once, urging them back along that path, clawing their way toward the surface and dragging the trade post after them. The ground buckles and churns beneath your feet, and the whole chamber begins to move. At last you open your eyes, and the shaking subsides. The blocked archway is opening. You hear astonished voices outside. Hey, how's it going? Oh, okay, cool. Their energy spent, the bloom tongues recede into the ground. Oh, there it is. Huh. You no longer communicate with them. Okay, that's fine. Well, that was a thing. That was definitely a thing. I'm not sure what kind of thing, but it was definitely a thing. Man. The choices this game causes you to make. It's fascinating. I do like this game for that reason. I like this game a lot because it makes you think about a lot of things. It makes you, you have to make these very important decisions and figure out how much of your morality are you willing to sacrifice. It's very interesting. And the amulet is very powerful. You can go back to the vast interior now.
Let's go.
That was something. New reflections can appear in the labyrinth based on your actions in the real world. Some of them can give you special bonuses. As you emerge from the trade post, you hear sharp intakes of breath. The two merchants you met earlier are staring at you in amazement. That great jaw and the teeth, they're gone! The portly human beams at you. Was this your doing? If it was, you have our deepest thanks. The Vargellan merchant. We are no better off, the Vargellan points out. My wagon is still supper for Bloom thing. Quite right, the human frowns. But it's still damned impressive. I thought the Bloom only answered to the Mamavra. Where is she when we need her help, eh? It's a good question, isn't it? Where? Where is she? Grissler squints at you. You spoke to her, didn't you? To the Bloom, I mean. She listened. No wonder the Mamavra wants to get rid of him. That troubles you. Is that unusual? It wasn't speech, exactly. Maybe the Bloom listens to those who warrant attention. Yeah, sure. It wasn't speech. Of course not. She don't talk the way we do, but she has ways to make herself heard. All that whispery, chittery stuff makes a certain kind of sense if you listen long enough. And maybe you've got ways to talk back to her if I ain't trying to pry. All I'm saying is this. I'd be careful about using that kind of power if I was you. The folks in charge might mistake you for a threat. Happens a lot around here. He shrugs and the lopsided grin returns. Now what can I do for you? I know all about the Bloom and her maws. No, we're good. Show him the scalpel. Sure. Have you ever seen a weapon like this? Grissler's eyes widen when he spies the scalpel and he waves it away. Get rid of it, he hisses. Can't you hear how much she hates it? He holds his hands to his ears as if in pain. You don't actually hear anything, but you assume he must be referring to the voices of the bloom, or he is completely insane. I mean, we're juiced right now. We should hear it. I've heard of a weapon like that, Gristler whispers, eyes still locked on the scalpel. Stories, mostly. It's around the bloom for a long time. The knife can open her maws if you fix it upright. She don't like it, and she's no friend of the one who wields it. Yeah. Well, guess what? We already did that. Once. Oh, we're done. No need advice about the bloom. Come and find me again. Human merchant. The bloom is eating our wagon! I don't suppose you could lend us a hand. Yeah. No.
Here comes the boredom slayer.
No, sorry. Can't. I guess we could try. Looks as if the bloom has begun to devour this wagon. Its wheels have been sucked down into the flesh of the platform even as you watch. It slowly recedes a little further into the ground. The merchant's guards heave and push it to no avail. Walk away! No, we'll try and help. So I can get up to 30. Matkina can get up to 25. And Tiber could get up to 65, which is impressive. And Eratus can only get up to 45. Okay, well, I guess it's Tiber we're going to assign this to. Give it a shot. Alright, good. And now Tiber needs to rest. Without a word, you throw your shoulder into the back of the wagon and begin to heave in time with the guards. Surprised at your sudden generosity, they slacken for a moment, and then, as if trying to prove themselves, redouble their efforts. You can feel a great, almost ultrasonic rumble of displeasure as the bloom's flesh begins to tear. Fibers pop, one at a time, and suddenly the wagon is free and you stagger after it. In the fissure that was devouring the wagon, you see an object, some bit of Numenera, but the bloom flesh is already closing over it. Quick, grab it! Okay, I can get up to 100%. Matkina can get up to 95 with just a couple of points of expenditure. Well, I would have to spend like half of my pool. Tiber can get up to 100% if we spend 3 of his pool. Eratus can get up to 80% if I spend 4 of his pool. I think the safest way to go here is Matkina. You only have to spend 2 of her pool to get up to 95%. Yeah. She's better at all of these things. Success! You drop quickly to your knees and plunge your arm into the rut. Your fingers close over the device, and you pull it out of the wound before the bloom flesh knits itself back together. We got an orb of perception. A cipher. Permanently increase intellect by 1 and gain the orb of perception. Ooh, permanently. More intellect! Just going to have an ungodly amount of intellect. +2 training level and perception skill, which we did before. Which means we'll be great at it suddenly. Active until next sleep. Consumes movement. Oh, it's only active until next sleep. So the intellect is what increases, but the perception maybe is only until the next sleep. A perfectly spherical orb, half a fist in diameter. It looks and feels to be made of dark green, transparent glass, through which you cannot see through it. It catches all manner of light in its center, and peering into it gives one the sense of abstract wisdom. Touching the orb to your temple will alter your perception of reality forever. Machinery lore tells us it would take immense power to break or blemish this orb. Mystical lore tells us you are certain this orb has been utilized many, many times before you possessed it. It appears to be on its final charge now. It's our perception specialization tells us as you peer into the orb, you barely notice characters slowly pulsing within the light, writing words in a language you do not know, yet you somehow understand the meaning. Perceiving is everything. Alright. We might use this, but we're going to sleep first, just in case the perception boost only lasts until the following sleep. Awesome. Yay, more toys! Yeah, well, thanks, stranger, says the eldest of the guards. If we'd lost the wagon, we'd have lost our pay. You're a damn sight more helpful than most around here. Why don't you go talk to our employer over there? Maybe he'll have something for you. Hey, you never know. Which one's your employer? The merchants, I guess. Hey, do you have something for me? The human merchant. Ha! I never thought we'd free that wagon. The human merchant grins like a madman and does a little jig, his massive head lolling back and forth like a pendulum. First good thing that's happened to us happens to us in this godforsaken monster. Here, he tosses you a purse of shins. That's the same as I pay the Mamavra for our passage into the bloom, and you're a lot more deserving than she is. You hear that, you great greedy wench? Oh no. He shouts in the direction of the Mamavra's courtyard and spits derisively. Gained 240 shins. Excellent. Good. Good! Okay. I've got a decision to make. How much longer do I want to go here on this go round? Because we've done quite a few things. I do want to get to that other maw and kind of deal with that. So I think we should do that. I think we should sleep first, however. So we're going to go do that.
Yes.
Yes. Now. Okay. If you find yourself wondering where to go or what to do, check the journal screen to refresh your memory. It's updated automatically anytime you make progress in the story. I'm not going to give the amulet back yet, because I might need it with that other maw. But we will do it soon.
Why not?
Mind if we take a little nap? Of course, she waves toward an empty tent. I'll bring you some food shortly. I'll tell you some stories if you like. Enjoy your night. I've forgotten all of the voices that I have ever done in this thing.
That's
Excellent.
the stuff.
Rested. We're going to collect some more of this bloom juice without drinking it. There we go. Now we're going to leave it alone.
Yes.
And we're going to head over here. This is very fun, actually, finally sort of getting through these things and seeing where they go. Alright. Did I ever at one point want to just wield the scalpel? Was that what was happening? I think I did, and then I realized this weapon was more effective. For me. Although, that is a lot of transdimensional damage. That's more damage than I was doing otherwise. My speed isn't as great, though. But if it comes down to a point that I'm going to be using a dagger... we'll try that for a while. And it's pretty. You see, yeah, because there that was just sort of like that. And now if we put that there, we have a glowing thing. Excellent. Orb of perception. In a moment. Also, let me see where we are journal-wise. Dracogen's price, we're getting there. We gotta return to it. Still need to find that. The Decanted's Utopian Society. That I'm going to resolve after this second maw. Third maw, fourth maw. Whichever maw it is. The newborn maw. Numenera. One thing actually I do want to... Now that I'm remembering suddenly...
Of course.
There is a thing we forgot to do in the old slave block. As I believe I got distracted. Just Gara that's left there, I guess. That maw is still there. There was a... Yep, we forgot to loot that. So we need to go back and do that. Shins! Okay, there we are. That's all I wanted to do. How I managed to remember that amongst everything else that's going on here, I have no idea. But you know, things. Okay, and we're gonna head back down here.
Yes. Now.
We can do things with the maw. Missing something? You can press, what is that, enter to view all interactive characters and objects in the area. I didn't know that. Is that what that is? It's not the enter key. I have no idea what that symbol means. It's an arrow. Tab? Tab! Oh, neat! Okay. Things I was unaware of. Finally, one of those messages tells me something that might be immediately useful. Something catches... Okay, the trash piles of Little Numenera illustrate perfectly the prevailing attitude that the mutants are garbage only barely tolerated. The scent of unidentifiable refuse, leaking organics, and the sharp smell of melted synth combine in a particular odor that makes your stomach churn. But something catches your eye, a glint of metal perhaps, something shiny, dramatically out of place in the ooze and decay. Dig into it! Oh, hey. The disgusting garbage pile shifts a number of times as you shove its ordure aside, and the metal you glimpsed remains tantalizingly distant. At last, though, you catch a broad patch of metallic surface and snatch it before another avalanche of fetid waste collapses over it. It's a helmet similar to those worn by the Lascars you have met. Broken Lascar helm. It's a quest item. The encrusted filth of the bloom covers this helm's surfaces inside and out. It looks like it would fit a human head. But the technology that created the helm is far beyond the capabilities of anyone in the Ninth World. Lights flicker from inside, and the helm intermittently broadcasts short bursts of speech in a female voice. That sounds awesome. Kinda want to find out what that is immediately. Tab key, huh? A loot patch I had missed. More shins. That's delightful. Look at all this. Whoa. Let's recenter here. I have played this game for how many hours? We're in, like, what is this, like the 43rd episode, I think? or so. Which means I've played for an average of, what, 86 hours this game so far? Maybe a little less. And I did not know about the tab key. That's amazing. An eyeless many-breasted mutant appears to be screaming. Okay. My goodness. So many things, so many places I could have been looking, and I was not. So many worlds are opening up now.
Yes.
It sort of feels like a cheat to an extent, because we should be just sort of looking around. Now the question is, do we talk to Delny to try to get... We already went down in there. I think we got a cipher out of it. Do we talk to Delny to try to get her to help us with this? Because I don't want it to eat her. Because I feel like I could just cut this thing open. I have to make a decision here. Also, I think I'm going to go ahead and use this cipher because I'm getting full of ciphers, I think. Orb of Perception. We're going to use the item. Yes! I can see everything now. And I am now glowing. So because I'm glowing, I'm going to assume that it's temporary. And this effect I have on me currently. Because then... Oh, hey! Wait. There. For those of you just joining us, we're playing Torment Tides of Numenera. We're actually going to be probably not for too much longer today, but we've just done something with an orb to try to boost our perception, which it currently is boosted. I have a feeling it won't be quite as boosted when I next go to sleep, but we'll see. Positive Fetals. Orb of Perception, yeah, active until next sleep, yeah. +2 training level and perception skill. So that's going to be up for a little while longer. Alright. But I'm going to need to save here before I talk to Delny, because I don't want to... If there's another way, I don't want to sacrifice her. I don't feel as bad about sacrificing that mercenary captain, because he had sort of a thing he needed to face in a way, and I gave him the banner back, and it's like, okay, that's what this is for. But yeah, sacrificing Delny, who just got freed from an existence with having her mind taken over for quite a while, that's not so much. What is the name? This is Torment Tides of Numenera. This is the spiritual successor to Planescape Torment that came out ages ago. So it's set in a different world. It's the things that are similar, just the sort of the way that it's set up and the themes. But it's still set in. It's again derived from work largely by Monty Cook. as Planescape kind of, a lot of the Planescape stuff that they were using was. This is derived from Mighty Cook's setting Numenera, which is a lot of fun. But it's set in the 9th world, which is 4 billion years in the future. Let's see. No Neliash. Maw time. It's Maw time indeed. Okay. Let me look at the Maw. Or talk to the Maw. A red mass of flesh protrudes from the bloom wall, surrounded by waving tendrils. The flesh is thick and strong, glistening like a newborn beast. A jagged seam runs across its surface, with faint light spilling from within. As you approach, all the sounds in Little Neliash seem to fade. The hushed conversations of the mutants recede into the distance, replaced by the hissing, chittering voices of the bloom. Matkina lays a hand on your shoulder. "Amal," whispers Matkina, as if she didn't want to draw its attention. Her voice is wary or respectful. Those waving tendrils, they're its tongues. The bloom is focused here. If it likes the smell of you, it'll take a bite. Her mouth quirks a little, probably best for our ilk to steer clear. Cut open the maw with the transdimensional scalpel. Observe the behavior of the bloom tongues. Offer yourself to the bloom tongues. Use the magmatic amulet to find out what the maw wants. Listen carefully to the bloom's voices. Leave the maw alone. So we will observe the behavior of the bloom tongues. Your proximity has clearly attracted the attention of the tendrils, but they appear confused. They stretch themselves toward you, quiver uncertainly, start moving away, and then sway back in your direction again. Perception. Based on the movements of the bloom tongues, you notice that they are focused on your head, particularly the side with your Castoff tattoo. In the depths of your mind, you can dimly sense fear from the Katina AI. Interesting. I kind of wish I'd talked to the other maw as well, but well, you live and learn. Let's listen to the voices. The hissings and chitterings of the bloom are no different than usual, as far as you can tell. Your sharp senses provide no particular advantage in hearing the odd sounds. You realize that the bloom's voices are a psychic phenomenon, not a physical one. They are literally voices in your head. You can't detect any patterns or meanings in the sounds. They seem entirely random. So we could drink some bloom juice to try to do better with that. But I think this time around we could just use the amulet to figure it out. Or we could talk to Delny, and Delny could figure it out. Let's talk to Delny first. Hopefully we won't be choosing violence. Actually, hopefully we'll be choosing violence. I think I do want to slice it open, but we'll see. Hang on. With glamour removed from her, you can see Delny for who she truly is, a young mutant woman, slender, her light blue skin accentuated by her bright pink hair. Her features are still sharp, but she still has the softness of youth about her. Her voice is light but sincere. Thank you for freeing me of Vrung's influence. His mind was... She shivers. This is like waking from a nightmare. What can I do for you? There's a new maw in Little Neliash. Can you use your mental powers to find out what it wants? I could, I suppose, but I need to get near the maw to build the proper rapport with it, and I don't think that's a very good idea. I have freed you from Vrung. This is all I ask in return. I mean, this is funny because this is now something we could do ourselves. And I'm going to end up spending... Hang on. The thing is, I'm going to end up spending points either way. Either points on persuasion or points on intellect at this point. Persuasion would probably... Points from persuasion would probably come from Tiber. We're going to try it. Because I kind of want to see what this is. And I mean, look. Oh, it is intellect points. I keep forgetting. Tiber is very persuasive. Just checking what everyone else has on tap. Yeah, 15%. Everitus do it. I can get up to 100 now. If I spend 3 points. Tiber spends 3, though, and is up to 95. I think we'll go with this, so that I don't have to spend my intellect. She considers her words, weighing them carefully. At last, she comes to a decision. All right, you did help me when you didn't have to. I'll do it. Hopefully this will not destroy her, because if it does, I shall be very put out. She steps up to the maw, and her hair seems to rustle in an unseen wind. Delny glances back at you, her eyes bright with fear. It wants me. It wants me, she repeats. And she quakes as the maw's tongues begin to stir and writhe, lifting, questing, probing. They reach toward her, and she takes a step backward in fright. It wants me! The pitch of her voice is rising. Something is drawing it to me. That part of me reaches back. That's nice. Her voice becomes more dreamy. Would it be so bad? Would it be so bad to be devoured, to give my voice to the bloom to carry on through the years? No, wait! Yeah, we have to... Can we stop that? Yeah. The tongues withdraw as Delny reaches out to them. They seem to have lost interest in her altogether. As her hand touches one, it snaps back, and she whispers in despair. Then she shakes her head as if waking from a dream. What was I thinking?
I'll remember that.
Now that she knows that the maw no longer desires her, Delny is braver than she was, and she stands amidst the bloom tongues, her hands outstretched. Her hair fans out around her head, a pink corona, a nimbus that seems to crackle with energies of its own. Guilt, she announces. It feeds on guilt. Oh! She turns away from the maw. It tasted the guilt I feel for what I did when I was Vrung's toy. But it knew I wasn't responsible for that, so my guilt wasn't strong enough. Someone who has genuine guilt, not regret, not shame, but all-consuming guilt. The maw will devour them. She shivers. I think my debt to you is paid. We have a difficult choice to make here now. Tell me again what you learned about them all. It was guilt that wants people who feel their guilt strongly, who bathe in it, whose hearts are stones of remorse. It said it would lay bare that guilt and take it away. Alright. I mean, it could just take the guilt, but it might take the whole person. See, maw therapy, absolutely. Alright. I'm going to save the game again. Because I happen to know someone that I think that's not standing too far away who might qualify. And I have to decide whether to feed her to it and hope it just takes the guilt away. See, the thing is, because then if the maw if the maw takes Herja, then we will not be able to give Herja to the person collecting things, to the decanted. But then we found out, after we gave 2 people to it, that basically the people just go in and they're beheaded, and it just preserves their bodies. And it's a question of, like, what punishment do we want to give Herja, if any, when we resolve this Herja situation? I don't know. I don't know. Open the newborn maw. I've learned that the newborn maw feeds on guilt. I'll have to find someone or something that feels a powerful sense of guilt and offer them to the maw. Or I could just cut it open. Herja, a warrior I met in Little Niliesh, has been imprisoned for trying to poison a whole community of mutants. She claims to feel no remorse, but if she's lying, the maw might draw out her guilt. I'll need Garkota's permission if I want to try this. The machine intelligence I met aboard the crashed Katina is affected by guilt over the death of its passengers. It might be enough to feed them all, if I can find a way to get it there. Ooh. Now that is a thought. A few different ways we could go with this.
If you want a job done right.
If we go to Garkoto and get permission, could we then take Urja instead to the Decanted? That might be an option. Or we could go back in here and see if there's anything new in the Katina. Oh man, I'm running out of time here. But I want to see what the conversation tree does. There are a couple, because there it is, the newborn Maw feeds on guilt. If you want to know if Urja feels any remorse for her crime, let her face the Maw. Except I'm kind of wondering about still using Urja for, I mean, it's kind of a death sentence either way, right? Let me look inside the Katina. Or do we have to, like, go into the labyrinth to, talk to the virtual passengers in there?
Of course.
Bereft of its power source, the containment device no longer glows. The control panel is dark and unresponsive, and that's all it gives us. Ugh. Decisions difficult.
Yes.
Okay. So, barring going into the labyrinth and talking to those
Look out below.
to those intelligences again.
Sideways.
One thing I do like about this interface, or the way that they've set this game up, is that at the very least you don't have to go trying every single item in your inventory on every single other thing. So I mean, that's something. If you've examined the right thing, then you're fine. And so that's like the extent to which you necessarily have to go through the items in your inventory. And then, of course, we have the option of just basically feeding Herja to the Maw, and then... Well, you didn't like how King's Quest is set up? So we're going to have a little chat about that, but not yet. I'll have a chat about King's Quest in just a moment. I have some feelings that I shall have to express. So we can do this. We could go ahead and feed her to the Maw, and then go back to the Decanted and just basically say, get off our planet. Or we could try feeding her to the maw, and if it only takes the guilt, then we might be able to then give her to the decanted afterward if we want to do it that way. It's a great question. And I feel like story-wise, having her face the maw might be the best option. Just as far as just resolving the guilt issue, instead of just saying, "Here, have a victim," to the decanted. So I can see that as a thing. The machine intelligence, like I'd have to go and drink from the pool a bunch, and then so that I can get into the. It's kind of sad that you can't just find, you have to actually go find ways and things to interact with to get into the labyrinth. You have to die every time to do it. So I mean, it'd be an option. It's like if you want to just give her to the decanted and give the machine intelligence to this, if we could find a way. But I don't know. Yeah, sometimes the cost of facing one's demons is indeed fatal. All right. I think for the purpose of what we're doing here, we're going to go ahead and go this route. Because I want to see all paths simultaneously opening. But I can't. Because apparently life doesn't work that way. It's rather childish of it not to, I think. It should just allow us to see everything. Now, let's see. That's very selfish of life to not be more open. The newborn maw feeds on guilt. If you want to know if Herja feels any remorse for her crime, let her face the maw. Yes, the voice murmurs. This is a perfect trial for our prisoner. She can stand before them all, and unless she has completely divorced herself from human feeling, the bloom will take its due. A fitting punishment. Once she has done this, she is free to go. Ah, okay, maybe we can still... maybe we can still feed her to the decanted if we want to. It's like... The speaker crackles. You'll find a disc on her forehead. Turn it 3 times widdershins to release her from her prison. Tell her that if she survives the maw, she has earned her freedom. I have no idea how I made Garkoda sound before either. I need to go back and review these maybe before I do this. But who has time for that? All right. Got a little job for you. Back again so soon. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Have you come to free poor Herja from her cage? Garkoda has agreed to release you, but only if you face them all and allow it to draw out your guilt. Ha! I have nothing to confess or regret, so the maw will find me a paltry meal. I accept your bargain. The disc on her forehead pulses briefly and loses its cohesion to her flesh. It falls to the ground, and Herja's eyes widen as her imaginary prison disappears. She bends over to pick up the disc, and she passes it to you with a mocking smile. As a knight, I live by my honor, and it's my honor to put some miles between this place and me. A quick jaunt to the small, and then I'll show my heels. Herja's prison. It's an artifact. This disc held Herja captive inside a psychic cage. Now inert, it looks like a flat circle of metal. You do not know how to reactivate it, but it might be valuable to a merchant. Indeed, it looks like it. We'll only get half of that. Half of its price. Alright, here we go. Maw time! Oh yes, this is going to be much more satisfying than giving her to the decanted. With a slight sneer, Herja steps toward the maw. I will tell you what I regret, she declares. Let the bloom do its worst. Confidence shines from her face, and her proud carriage, even despite the filth that smears her armor, makes her look every inch the knight she claims to be. Couldn't Pilot from Farscape see many future paths at once? Maybe, I don't know. I actually never saw Farscape. But I am aware there was a living ship. I think. I don't know. The maw, or someone that was part. Anyway, who knows? Henson. I know it was Henson. The maw's tongues reach out to her, grasping and tugging, and as they penetrate into her flesh and draw her close, you can see the first flickers of doubt and fear. Her eyes focus somewhere far away, and she addresses someone who isn't there. She begins to speak through gritted teeth, as if resisting the pull of the maw on her memories. The spotted dosi. I cared little for it, sister, but your sadness made me cry. She breathes deeply, and something inside her seems to break. Her stoic mask begins to crumble. Yes, yes! No, they were mutants. I did what was right. I didn't mean for them to die. Not like that, not painfully, not twitching. Frothing, kicking, not the children. She swallows. I sold some of the metal before I crumbled it into the air. I thought the dose was still toxic. Tears begin to stream down her cheeks. Toxic it was, but not enough to drop them. The screams. That was the first time they ever seemed human to me. Yeah, that'll do it. But skinning the yellow woman, her tentacles, her sting, she cried and wailed, but she was a monster. Urja sobs, her voice drops to a monotone. Okay, yeah, once again, just reminding folks of the content warnings involved here, that there is a lot of people doing horrible things to other people, so, as we're sort of at the end here. Yeah, a lot of sort of, some descriptions of violence here. Cutting out her babies was a blessing to her, stopping more monsters from entering the world. We all agreed. But the children looked as human as any. Keep talking! Oh, man. Or pull her out. I don't know if I want her to keep talking, but just bear in mind, folks can turn away from this if you want to. I'm going to have her keep talking. Indigo Tide, yes. She doesn't seem to hear, her voice reciting a litany of further crimes. When we brought the tunnel down on the diggers, I could hear their cries through the rubble. Rather than offer mercy, I gave them fire to steal away their breath. Her voice drones on, and somehow this makes her story more horrifying. I herded the weeping families into the spire, even though I knew that the resonances of the chamber would slowly shiver them apart. Oh, great. I hated them, I thought, but it was only because I feared my fellows' scorn. They were human, in every way that matters. What have I done? There we go. I called down the threshers, and I stood guard with my blazing spear. To keep the fathers from saving their children, I laughed at their cries, and I disemboweled the one, because I thought he might serve as a lesson. His blood ran with that of his children, and they all suffered to see the others in agony. We wagered over who would die first. She stops talking. I am a greater monster than ever they were. I deserve a death worse than I gave them. I suppose any death will do, though. Delny breaks in. She's about to end her life. Yeah, that's true. A piece of shattered synth lies on the ground nearby. Urja snatches it with her free hand and brings it to her neck. Tears pour down her cheeks, and she murmurs, I am so sorry. Let her choose her own future or grab her hand. I'm going to grab her hand. Now, I can get up to 100% if I spend 5 points. Eritis, spending 4 points, can get up to 90. Tiber, allow her to atone for her past. Well, I'm thinking I will, but in a much more, in a much worse way. Yeah. I don't want to let her commit suicide. So Tiber can get up to 100% with 3 of these, but of course Matkina, let's see, with 2 of these, can get up to 85. I think that the resources would be least drained here. Actually, if I have Tiber do it. Yeah. You grab her wrist before she can slash her throat, and her pain-filled eyes focus on you. Let me die, she whispers, and she leans into the synth. You can barely keep it from her. She is strong, and she clearly wants to end her agony. We could snatch the synth away, or we could try to intimidate. I'm not good at intimidation. You want to atone for what you did? Suicide is the easy way, the coward's way. So we could try using might to snatch the synth away. I could try intimidation. So, I mean, yeah, I could have I mean, we just did some physical restraint. We're gonna try intimidation. Although, we have people who can do might, but yeah, neither of these are a certain thing with the party that we have. Alright, so, well, we're starting at a base of 65, so it can't be that bad. If I spin it myself, will be at 100%. Yeah. How we doing? Yeah. Yeah, no. He's the one I would have had used the just snatch it away. Yeah, this looks like this will be fine. Success. She drops the synth and begins to sob, great racking heaves. The bloom's tongues withdraw from her, leaving her sitting on the ground with her new self-knowledge and her grief. Her eyes are distant, almost vacant, and she stands on weakened legs. She totters a short distance and looks back over her shoulder at you. I am so sorry, she whispers, then stumbles away. I'll remember that. And the maw shall open, yes? Preservation of Beauty just got updated too. I gotta check on that. Air stirs around you slowly at first, and then a gust as the maw begins to open, expelling atmosphere from an alien world into Little Neleash. A black tunnel opens, the skein between worlds stretching taut, and then snapping like a call from an infant's face. An infant's face. And there the maw stands open. To Lost Anchorage! Yes, there it is. Okay, that's what we wanted. And she's gone. Let me check the quests here. I've opened them all, but I still need to find out what's on the other side. Preservation of Beauty. Let's see what got updated here. I will no longer be able to recruit Herja for the Decanted. Dang it. I'll no longer be able to recruit Cody. Yeah, we're at the point that we have to just get rid of the Decanted. So either we've got to find someone else, or we just got to tell send the Decanted packing, which I think is what we're going to do. But I think that actually was much more satisfying to do that. So that works. So the maw is food or the emotions, but not the body as well. Then sometimes it takes the body. Sometimes it takes parts of the body. Each maw is different. Each maw wants a different thing, and each maw wants different amounts of different things. So there we are. I feel like there would have been a path to, like, perhaps going and finding out a way to get the machine intelligence to the maw. But I think this was good. I liked kind of seeing this. It was painful, but it was not. It was good seeing that sort of end for Herja. I'm going to save the game. I feel like talking to Garkoda would be helpful here also, but just so they'll know, hey, your maw is open. But I don't know if it's going to go where they want it to go. Because they were going to head out. I can spell. Let me actually just real quick, let me see what the aftermath of this conversation is. If there is anything. So Herja lives. Let us hope that she understands the magnitude of her actions. In time she may learn something of compassion. The grill sparks and fizzes as Garkoda whispers, but such is not my experience. Okay, we opened the maw. Okay, and then that's not going to change much aside from that. Okay. Some strange strangled sound. Wait, what? Strange strangled sound comes from the grill at the front of the tank. Before you go, what became of the device that bound Herja to her prison? Do not lie to me, human. I have it. Let me return it. I have worked hard to open this maw and bring Herja to justice. I should be able to keep the disc as partial recompense for my efforts. I mean, do I want it for something? Yeah, she's learned the depths of regret and shame, if nothing else. Yeah. I don't have it. I could try to persuade it to let me keep the disc. Or I can just give it back. I mean, yeah, I think that I'm fine returning it. My thanks, friend. It has served me well for years. May you achieve your goals this day. And I got my indigo tide up, which is good, because I was hoping I'd be able to have my indigo tide overtake my gold tide, because I don't want to be that nice a person, but in this game at least. But unfortunately, I keep making choices that are apparently the moral ones. How can one deal with fighting one's own morality to try to be more of a bastard? Because at the very beginning, when you make a character, you get to decide sort of the things about it and things of your character's personality. This particular version of the Last Castoff, and I just kept thinking, sort of cold intellectual, right? Didn't quite go that way. Alright. But I'm happy to let the story continue from there. I think that's fine. But that said, I gotta get going. So we are going back to the main menu here. Alright. The screen goes weird now for some reason when we go back to the main menu. This has happened before. It's interesting. Does it mean something? Probably not. It's probably just a graphic error, but that's cool. So, let me go ahead and I'll turn that back on. There we go. So, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. It's very interesting seeing these stories resolve and seeing what happens. Yeah, too much indigo tide? No! You can never have enough indigo tide! It is the tide of justice! I want him to be primarily blue tide and indigo tide, but we keep drifting toward gold tide. But in any case, yeah, it was very interesting. It was very interesting to see all that. I think we're just going to end up fighting the Decanted. I can't imagine how else that's going to end up. As we go back to it and just say, get off my world. But that'll be perhaps next time. We got to see what's in this maw first and find out how things will go. So, what do we have happening? So where am I? I am on Friday. It is Friday. So yeah, this weekend, not much. At least not streaming-wise. I've got life stuff. So Tuesday, I think, is the next time. Unless I suddenly decide once again to just do a random City Skylines thing. then the next time I'm actually going to be coming back will be, well, not Tuesday, but Wednesday, when there will be more City Skylines. There will be, right now we are on hiatus. If you keep appeasing the devil, you'll find yourself in hell. Is City Skylines the devil? I don't know. No, but it could be. I have ideas for so many cities now, different city builds. But no, what's happening? Our Tuesday game, Urban Shadows, is on hiatus for the next several weeks. It's going to come back, but I have another campaign that's going to be coming up soon on Tuesday nights. Within the next few weeks. It's going to be a short playtest, 3 to 4 sessions that we're going to be doing during that hiatus. And it's for Genesis Undone, a game I created. And so looking forward to doing that again soon. Getting to playtest that again soon. On Wednesday, Wednesday is City Skylines. Then in the evening, on Wednesdays, we are doing our campaign of Scum and Villainy, which is called Untitled Space Game, where we basically just sort of go around the galaxy annoying people and taking their stuff and and just basically doing things designed to take them off, I guess, as we try to figure out why we're in such a giant spaceship. That's most of it. Back around to Friday, we'll be doing more of this. That's where we go with things. Possibility of at least that's it for the time being. Then there's other stuff coming, but that's we'll get to that when it's more imminent. Also, possibly I did just start playing Planet Coaster here, and so there will perhaps be more of that. I'm not stealing, I'm reappropriating items. That's right, repurposing. So I may do more Planet Coaster sometime soon. I have to decide on that when I sort of want to throw that into the mix. 'Cause I'm already doing a building game. I'm doing a lot of City Skylines, and that is the primary addiction at the moment. But I may very well try to start doing Planet Coaster a bit because I enjoyed that. But the urge is not quite as strong as with City Skylines at the moment, so perhaps not quite as often. Maybe it'll be like an every other week thing or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out, or maybe I'll just decide to do it at some point. We'll see. It's going to be at random. Basically, I think that's how this is going with the video games. I play them at random until I sort of settle on a day that I always seem to do them, and then that's the day. So maybe that'll happen with Planet Coaster too. I don't know. I have other games I want to get to as well, so I just got to figure that out. But not the worst problem in the world to have. In the meantime, though, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to go and do lunch things. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Wait, hold on. I was going to talk about Sierra. I fooled you. I went away for a few seconds and then I remembered. There was a comment. There was a comment back here. Consider this bonus content. There was a comment back there. What, you didn't like how King's Quest is set up? I'm going to answer that question now. I do need more days in the week, by the way. I agree about that. Here's the thing. I actually liked King's Quest is one of my favorite games. It affected me in a very deep way, it was sort of very. When I was very young, I had it was like the first game I saw where you could move a person around and type things in, and that was very exciting. That was very exciting for me, I actually. I enjoyed the stories. I mostly played those games for the stories. I was addicted to Sierra games as a kid, especially. Deeply. I think my favorite of the games they came out with was Quest for Glory 2. It was wonderful. It was wonderful for me, anyway. The Quest for Glory series overall was my favorite of the stuff they did. But the question comes up, yes, you don't like how King's Quest is set up, because that was in response to my talking about, you don't have to go through and find each item and use it. And yes, that was characteristic of adventure games at that time, very much. That was basically how you did things. That's why I save every 5 minutes, for anyone wondering. It's because I was playing Sierra games, and where, you can, as famously happens in Space Quest 3, you can pick up a piece of metal and die instantly. So, that's what ingrained those habits in me from a very young age. There is also pixel hunting. That's a thing that tends to be annoying. And a lot of people who are used to more modern games, they go back and they play these older games, find that annoying, and I sympathize with that. I'm just kind of more used to it, so I get it. And I guess pixel hunting still happens in some games. There was a game I was playing not too long ago where I felt like I had to do pixel hunting, and I can't remember. It might have been this. I can't remember which game it was, but it was in a more modern game. That's why I'm so happy I found out about the tab key today, finally, on this. But anyway, it is a thing. It is a thing that is a little bit tedious. The idea that you have to like go through your inventory to figure things out. But I'm fine with it if there is a story supporting it. Because worst comes to worst, if I get too terribly upset, I can always look up the answer. That's something I have always considered in the back of my head as an option. It's an option I want to try not to go to if I can possibly help it, but if really, I kind of view this as I'm picking up the game so I can see the story that it tells. That's really the big thing of it for me. So I can experience that. And I think as time has gone on, it's now, since King's Quest, it's been many, many years. It was in the 80s. We are in the 2020s now. So we're going on, somewhere between 3 and 4 decades. Man, I'm old. But anyway, we have learned more about how to do these sorts of games, how to figure that out. And we needed to have those earlier stepping stones to figure it out. So, do I like the way King's Quest does things? After a fashion, because of the nostalgia. The nostalgia is something that gets me. So I can find fun in those kinds of games. However, I mean, any game, is a thing. Even now, between, deciding, the thing you're getting at in the case of Sierra games, the story aspect that was really well done, really well told. Everything was kind of cinematic in its way back then. The definition of cinematic has changed over the years. But it was like a movie that you partially play in your head. It's kind of like reading a book. There was more of the reading a book, filling in the gaps going on there. This is why we were okay with bad special effects back in the day, because we had never seen anything better. And we liked still filling in the gaps in our heads. So, the thing is, there's always a trade-off. Like, if I enjoy... Oh, God, the stairs in King's Quest IV, by the way. Yes, the stairs are one of the... it wasn't Lalata. It wasn't Lalata in King's Quest IV. It was the stairs. The stairs were the main villain in that game. I am convinced. Yeah, there are a lot of stairs in King's Quest IV. A lot of them in King's Quest II as well. That were also kind of not great to maneuver. And so there was kind of running neck and neck as to whether the stairs or Dracula were the worst bad guys in that one, in King's Quest II. But yes, Dracula was in King's Quest II, by the way. But the thing being that there are still trade-offs, right? This game, I actually am enjoying. I'm playing to see the story unfold. I am digging all of the lore, and which is why I read this whole thing out, as much of it as I do, anyway. As I am reciting it, it is like to me a story being told. Once again, an oral tradition, or a written tradition, as being turned into an oral tradition as I'm speaking it out. He says, that sounds horribly pretentious, doesn't it? Well, maybe. But no, it's just basically I like that process, and this game gives that to me. So I can put up with some of the RPG bullshit that's in here, of which there is a considerable amount. Because I got to sit here picking out. I just did it, you know. I got to sit here figuring out. Okay, what do I have? Which thing do I have to buff which thing? Which item do I want to give these people when they level up? I could do completely without that, and we could just do story, and I would be fine. I do enjoy, to a certain extent, resource management. I do enjoy figuring out the right tool for the right job. So that's cool for me in this game. But yeah, there are things that I tolerate, that I can find fun in, like those aspects. Figuring out the conversation trees to an extent is kind of interesting, but that's kind of exciting in a way to me, because I want to know what where they all lead, where all the different options lead. But yeah, so there is stuff that I put up with even today, because I'm overall able to enjoy a lot more of the game. No game is perfect. And there are people who really enjoy the aspects and, you know, probably play this much more for the RPG aspects, who played Tides of Numenera more for the RPG aspects than for the story or world aspects. And that's perfectly fine. For me, no game is perfect, is going to perfectly hit every single qualifier that I would have. Maybe there's one out there, I don't know. I guess you know, I spoke of the Quest for Glory series. That came close because it had the RPG aspects, but they were subtle enough. I don't know if having a character sheet is considered subtle, but they were subdued enough that the story arc still was the most important thing. And everything that the RPG stuff was doing fit nicely into the story. Here they kind of accomplish that, but it's through a lot of lore and a lot of background. It involves a lot of reading, and one gets a sore throat. But I do still enjoy it. So, yes, I did like how King's Quest was set up. Were I introduced to it now, I would probably like it less. But I appreciate it. And that is my response to that question that I said I would hold until the end. There we are! You have not played or seen the Quest for Glory series. One day, perhaps. One day, perhaps. It's out there. Various actual plays, or, you know, you can. It's over at GOG, I think. But I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. It played into things that I liked. Each one is a different area, different sort of setting that the same hero visits. And it's a lot of fun for me. But it was cool. It was cool. It's basically you go around. You have RPG aspects, but it is primarily about the story that this hero is going through. A hero's journey, if you will. And there are so many options, and it is glorious, because you have 3 different ways you can play the game overall. Kind of 4 sometimes for some of them, depending on how it's viewed, because the Paladin is an interesting thing with those games. But yes, the response is made. And now I shall retire to lunch. Take care, folks. I'm out.